everyone to the last pre-session videos for semester 1 of the TA Advanced Learning program. Through these videos, I am attempting to summarize all our learning in this first semester. Self-awareness and group awareness was our topic. The contents of this first video are mostly recapitulative. The new elements for the coming session are included in the second pre-session video which will follow later. As discussed earlier, at the end of this semester, you are expected to be able to describe TA theory of psychopathogenesis, recapitulate evolution and manifestation of ego states, discuss the dynamics of ego state expressions, and connect with your own experiences. You are also expected to discuss higher order ego states, describe the connection between the TA theory of psychopathology and psychotherapy, explain the connection between TA therapeutic steps and TA application in education using your learning as an example. Above all, you must be able to discuss ego state dynamics in the context of group dynamics. The ideas given here are as given by Byrne in his book TA in Psychotherapy. I am using a stack of colored coins here to represent days in a child's life. The early days of two children are depicted here. One who experienced no significant trauma in early childhood. This child has a stable personality in adult life. Another one had traumatic experiences early but later on did not have significant traumatic experiences. This child has deep-seated trauma which may be making him unstable when challenges confronts in adult life. Since the trauma is deep-seated, it is difficult to become aware of it and so it is more challenging to work around. Here is a child who had multiple kinds of traumatic experience in early childhood. In adult life, this person may be very disorganized and manifest a very unreliable personality and a shabby appearance. Here is an example of a child that went through multiple similar traumatic experiences. This person in adult life may be unable to handle even simple challenges in life and may be very unstable, challenged by simple episodes, easily losing balance. This is an example of a child who had no significant traumatic experience in early childhood and had some traumatic experience later. This kind of a person, when faced with challenges in adult life, is able to manage it well. It is less disabling and easy to work around. Each child ego state we know now is a summary of its or his or her day-to-day experiences. Experiences of each child or person is different in many ways. Coming to the concept of psychic organizers. Psychic organizers can be related to the regions in the brain as shown here in the diagrammatic representation. This is not a hard demarcated association, rather an approximate association and attempts to understand the neurological basis of our learning and memories. Archicortex or archipallium refers to the earliest developed parts of the brain. Archi refers to old. The paleopallium or mesocortex is where the earliest unconscious learning has an impact. That includes the limbic association cortex, which has to do with the emotions associated with learning. The neocortex or neopallium is the latest and the most advanced in terms of nervous networking and evolution. This is probably the seat of data processing and conscious processes. The colored circles I show here represent the psychic manifestations of the organizers, namely the ego states. Eric Berne says that each of the psychic organizer has two major functions. One is to manifest the ego state or the psychic state at any given time. The second is to exert certain influences on each of the other based on their content and situations of expression. So, as you can see here, these are the psychic organs, and one of the first functions is programming, sorry, manifesting ego states, and the second function is programming. So, these are two different functions of the same psychic organs. Now, when Byrne refers to psychic determinants, it is the second function of the organizers, that is to influence each other. This may be compared to what Freud referred to as the psychic agencies. Id is one of the psychic agencies he mentioned. It may be compared to the inherent biological programming, which may be the secondary function of the oldest developed region of the brain, the archipallium, whose primary function is to manifest as child ego state. Superego is comparable to the secondary influences exerted by earliest unconsciously developed learning of social canons or environmental requirements for survival, seated in the paleopallium, whose primary function is to manifest as parent ego state. Ego, on the other hand, may be compared to the influences of the probability programming ability seated in the most advanced and latest developed region of the brain, neopallium, whose primary function is to manifest the adult ego state. The psychological states of the ego states. This animated picture is attempting to demonstrate how it happens. As you can see, the ideal picture of the well aligned, balanced ego states is not what we see in reality in persons. In reality, the ego states overlap or contaminate each other. Sometimes they do not express themselves or energize. Sometimes energy is distributed very unevenly. All these are results of an outcome of how each child understood early childhood experiences and reacted or responded to those experiences. This is an illustration of variety of parent ego state manifestations depending on which of the determinants are exerting influence at a given time on the parent ego state organizer. This is an illustration of the different ways the adult ego state manifests depending on which of the determinants are exerting influences on it at a given time. This is an illustration of various child ego state manifestations depending on which of the determinant is exerting influence at a given time. So we can see that the functional expressions of the ego states has a variety of possibilities being expressed by the same person depending on which psychic organ has more energy at a given time, which psychic organ is exerting its influence at a given time. Similarly, we can also see that same ego states in different persons differ due to the different environments in which each of their psychic organizers develop and the difference in content of the experiences of each of the organizers. So thank you. Please go back to this and listen to this video as many times as you want, and we'll have more discussions in the coming sessions.